Hi everyone. I know it's the first time for many of you to be doing a web development course, and so some of the things could sound weird and you might not really get it right now. And so I'm just doing something basic to give you a basic knowledge. And so before you do a website, there are things that you need. You need to have content, you need images, you need typography, you need probably wireframes and mockups, you need persona, the audience. You might need a host and a domain. And so when it comes to websites, the most common web language is HTML. And HTML is styled using CSS. Then you also have JavaScript. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are usually called the front end languages, web languages. You can also develop web apps using Django, which is a Python web framework. You can use PHP. And then we also have a content management system, which mostly is made from PHP and JavaScript. And this they include things such as WordPress, Joomla, Wix, Drupal, and many others. And so they are mostly a drag and drop kind of thing. And then when you're designing, let's say you want to develop a website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So you need an editor where you're going to do your work. And there are different editors. So we have editors that you can download and have them stored on your laptop. And then you can have some that you can just do online. So for those that you can work with them offline, we have Sublime Text, Atom, Visual Studio, and many others. And then we have those that you can work with online, such as Glitch, CodePen, Plankton, and many others. So here I'm just going to guide you a little bit. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are mostly used for front-end web development. When you're doing back-end, you can use such as PHP or you can use Django. We also have web frameworks such as Bootstrap. Okay, so the once you understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can try to go into Bootstrap in future. Okay, so I'm just going to do a simple guide on various HTML tags and what they mean. So before you do your website, you need to the first thing you need to do is you need to have you create a folder for your website, and if you have images, you can put them into that folder, or you can create another subfolder in the main folder. And so for my case, I'm using here Visual Studio, and I can open the folder that I'm going to create my website files in them and subfolders. And in this case, I've named it Web Basics. So once I've opened, I can create a file. And this file, I'm going to call it index.html. So with this, if I come in here and I simply write anything, so even though this doesn't make sense, yeah, so I could just write something such as that. So if I try to check this, I can try to view it. So if I try to view it here, you can see I have this content showing up, and it's the content that I have here. Okay, so this content doesn't have a meaning because you don't know whether this is a paragraph, you don't know whether this is a headline, you don't know whether it's a list, you can't tell. Okay, and that's why the main purpose of HTML is to give your website content meaning. Okay, so that you know whether it's a headline, you know whether it's a quote. Okay, so when you're writing your HTML, when you're writing the HTML in a file, you always need to save all the files, HTML files, you save them with an extension of .html. So it could be a different name. It could be mimi.html. It could be mycountry.html. It should always have an extension of HTML. That's the most important thing. Okay. So when I'm writing my HTML code, the first thing I always start with a doc type HTML. So this is basically the document type, and the document type is HTML. And then the next thing is I have to write my HTML tag, and it must have opening and closing tags like that. And then the next thing I could write is the head like that, and the head has opening and closing tags as well. And then inside the head, there are many things that I could write that can actually help me with my website. This could be external links, such as I could have a link to an external maybe font family that I've gotten from Google. I could have a bootstrap. I could have an external file, such as a CSS external file that will help with the styling of my website. Okay, but the most common things in the head, we can have meta char set. This is the character set and is usually UTF-8. So different languages have different characters. Like when you go to Chinese language, they have different characters. When you go to German language, they have different characters. So basically that's what meta char set is for. And then you can have meta. So meta tags, they are to help with the different things on your website. So you can have meta name, and I could have viewport. So your website will be seen on different screens. Some will be seeing your website on a laptop, some on a desktop, some will be viewing it on a tablet, some on small smartphones, some on even iPods. So your website, the viewport is just to help with that. And so when you're doing the style sheet, you can have different screen sizes. And so meta name, you do meta name viewport, and then you indicate content. And once you have that, the next thing is you indicate the width, and the width is the device width. Okay, and then it should have an initial scale, and that initial scale should be 1.0. Okay. So I could have my title here, and I can just write basic website. So right now, if you see here, you can just see some numbers here. Okay, so the moment I save this and I reload this, you can see now here, you see the word basic website. So this is the title. So the title won't appear here. So if I want to have something to appear here, I could use headlines. So there are different headlines. Okay, so once I'm done with the head, I could come in here and have the body. So the body, it has different things. So like if you have a website such as this one here, so you can see we have this at the top here. So this is like the header. So header is different from this here. Okay, so I have this is head. So header is they are called semantics. Okay, web semantics or HTML semantics. So they just give meaning to your code, your HTML code. Okay, so I could have the header, and the header could have a logo and different links or navigation links. So within the body, I could have header like that, and then also within the body, I could have this is like main, like the main content now. Could have in here like that, up to somewhere here. So I could have main. And then I can also have footer. So this is the footer down here. This is the footer, where you can have social media links like here. You can have quick links where people can quickly click and it can redirect them to a specific thing, such as this, all of them. You can have links to different things. You can have the copyright down here. Okay, and then uh, with these different things in the head, there are usually different things. You can have a logo. So in case you have a logo, you're going to use an image. So this is how you write an image tag. So your logo will go in here. So you paste the source. So it could be, the source could be saved on your desktop, it could be online, it could be anywhere. So then every image, it needs to have alternative text. Okay, so like that. And then within the header, you can also have links, and you can group them under navigation links. So this makes it easier when you're doing the styling. Okay, we'll be doing more on that once I start going into step by step and adding content into various tags. And then for the body, I could have sections. So you can have a section in a body, and the section could have articles. An article could have, let's say, headlines. So headlines are usually six. You have H1, H2, H3 up to H6, and they have opening and closing tag. So when it comes to HTML, some tags, they have opening and closing tag. Like most of them we have had so far, they have opening and closing tag. But if you look at image, it's called an empty tag because it doesn't have opening and closing tag. This is how it is. Okay. So you can also have paragraphs. You can have lists. So for lists, there are two types. We have an order list. You do it UL. And so you have opening and closing tags, and then you have specific list item. So for each list item, you need to do that. You do LI, list item. If you are doing order list, you will do OL like that. So that is the order list. Okay. You could decide to have also within a section, you could have a side like that. And that aside maybe could be a quote. So you can have different things on your website. So these are usually the most common things for your website. I Apart from section, you could use a div, and this doesn't have a semantic meaning. This doesn't have any meaning. So it's used mostly for styling purposes. Okay. So this is just an introduction to most tags in HTML. And the next video that I'll be doing, I'll be starting with the project. I'll do a wireframe, and then we can start working on with HTML, then we can go to CSS. But in case you have any questions, feel free to comment in the comment section, or